the best feelings you could have as a leader is having that type of positive turnaround impact to get people where they need to be for their lives, for their goals, for their family, by digging in deep, finding out why they want to do it, and then painting consistent images of the finish line when they're really up or they're really down to get them to change, to do uncomfortable things. Welcome to the show, everyone. Really excited to talk today about a topic that we can all hear. We could hear it ourselves, if we're a solo practitioner. If we're a leader, I think this applies as well too. Maybe you run a real estate team or a brokerage, boutique brokerage, giant national brand. Ourselves even, as a solo practitioner, this might apply to you as well too. It's how do we tap into real estate agent motivation? That's a really, really tough topic out there. And the reason I say tough is because, if we look at results, it's pretty tough. We know that 33% of agents don't even make it through their first year and renew and continue practicing. That's been a stat put out by the National Association of Realtors 30 years now. In addition to that, we know that 87% of agents don't make it through 5 years. And that's usually that ability to continue to motivate. The problem there isn't usually customer service. The problem is almost always I don't make enough business, generate enough business. And if they don't generate enough business, this is one thing. I've been in the business, almost 35 years now. And every time I've seen someone quit, it's because they didn't make enough money. And then the people that I've known those that didn't make enough money and quit, generally speaking, stop doing anything at all to try to get business. So if you're a solo practitioner or you're running a real estate team or you're running a brokerage, the agents, whether that's you or them, agents generally speaking, it's hard to get any of them to consistently try to generate more business. That's really true with leaders too. Team leaders should be recruiting. They should be doing retention activities. But we all say that we're too busy putting out fires and trying to maintain the status quo, and that we're out there, we're too busy with all the different things that come our way to do those few activities, even though it's a small sliver of our time and effort. We're not asking anyone to dig a ditch or pour asphalt. This is not that hard. Just an hour or two a day, maybe 5 days a week, to do some sort of lead generation activity to grow a brokerage, grow a business, grow a practice, get listings, whatever it may be. It's just tough. It just is what it is. It's tough because it's just a small percentage of real estate agents that consistently do it. So therefore it's tough. And we have to acknowledge that first and foremost. But what good leaders know how to do is they know how to tap into motivation to help agents feel mentally that they want to do those activities, or they need to do those activities, or they have to. And that's true. There's some people just motivated to do sit-ups. There's people who are motivated to wake up and go to church. There's endless things that we don't like to do to get the results we want. How do we motivate? How do we be that leader? How do we be that personal trainer that makes people do sit-ups? How do we become that mentor, that leader? And that's the deal. So this is something we talk about inside of ICC. As many of you know, we've got 50, 60 coaches across North America coaching over, 500 one-on-one clients and thousands of clients in group coaching and online platforms as well too. We're the largest coaching companies in the world, and we're always trying to figure out how do we motivate our people. So, we meet weekly as coaches and oftentimes more than that, and we're always masterminding different ways we can tap into our client motivation. And a concept we come to the most that I want to talk to you about is the finish line conversation. Of course, we want to find out motivation, and we call it a needs analysis, where we dig really deep and tap into, the why. I don't think that's a new concept to anybody, tapping into why someone wants to get where they want to go. And what is that why? Well, maybe it's financial freedom. Maybe it's to buy a vacation house. Maybe it's to put the kids into, good colleges. Maybe it's to retire by a certain date. Or what are the big whys? It could be even material in some aspects. I want this house, or live in that neighborhood, or, have a vacation home. Things like that. They serve as great motivators. It could be fear-based. Fear-based can work, especially short term. Hopefully we get out of the fear, but it could be, hey, I got to be able to pay my bills. I want to get out of this terrible neighborhood. I want to finally buy my first house. Things like that if I don't succeed, I'm not going to make it in this business. I'm going to have to go back to that 9-to-5 job that doesn't pay me nearly enough to get the lifestyle I want. Those are great short-term motivators too. It could be, pleasure or pain that motivates us. at different times in our career because we do go through different seasons of life. And as a leader, you need to tap into those different whys, those different motivators. So that does start with a needs analysis. We're not going to go to the full needs analysis conversation and what that should look like between a coach or a leader and an agent. But that is something that we must start with, right? We got to find out why we're in the business and where we want to go to begin with. Okay. Now, before I talk about the finish line conversation, because that's what I really want to cover, I want everybody to understand that leadership is coaching and coaching is leadership. And I didn't make that up. Everybody from Stephen Covey to John Maxwell to Kiyosaki, almost everyone will make that correlation and say you can't be a good leader and not be a good coach of humans. And a good coach really needs to be a good leader as well too. And that combination, so leadership is coaching. So the ability to coach up people and, is crucial as an aspect of a good leader. Or I don't know that we have a good leader. We have a good manager, someone that can manage people, but someone that can't develop people and develop other leaders and coach people up in their careers, people just aren't going to follow for long. They'll move on. You'll be a stepping stone. So you've got to be able to dig deep with people, build relationships, and actually have them grow both personally and professionally as a result of your relationship. If you really, really want an organization that develops and retains leaders. And the same is true. When you're running a brokerage or a real estate team, you hope you have that, right? You hope you don't just become this organization that trains new agents and they all leave you, right? Once they are able to do it on their own, you need to keep seeing where their goals are and keep creating a path for growth within your organization to enable you to retain top talent. That's a very important part. And the key to see that a different conversation, how to retain and create these paths for growth. Again, I strongly recommend you guys coach with us. That's a big way. That's kind of our wheelhouse is coaching leaders and the most successful in the industry. But the finish line conversation is a big prerequisite to getting there, is to creating that path for growth. Is we have to remind people, especially at times when times are tough, right? We got to remind them why they're in it. We got to remind them of their big why, because their big why at that point in that season in their life, that is their finish line. That's when the race is over and I can finally take a break and eat something, drink something, and rest. That's my finish line. I'm working hard right now. I got to remember why I'm doing this. So having that finish line conversation is crucial if we're leading someone, if we're coaching someone, because that's what remotivates them to push on. And you see that when times are slow. In real estate, that could be seasonality. It could just be in the winter when we don't have much money coming in. I can't tell you how many leaders we've coached that have, hired and leveraged, and they have administrative staff members and transaction coordinators, or how many broker owners hire staff or sales managers, and, or even agents, solo agents will, hire, virtual assistants or even administrative assistants, or pay for different marketing services, or, increase marketing expenses because they want to grow. Why? They typically all want to grow for two reasons, right? Almost every human does. They want more income and they want to move towards a place where they work less. I don't know who you are in the world that doesn't want more income and working less at the same time. If you're in a business plan that is just work more for more money and there's no plan to start working less, we're in a big bad business model. Okay, so I can't tell you how frequent that happens when times are slow. And times, we've seen times be slow. It could be low inventory, so sales go down. It could be rapidly rising interest rates, so sales go down. It can be stay-at-home orders and pandemics, so sales go down. It can just be every winter, sales go down. 9/11, sales go down. It can be local events like natural disasters, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes. Can be Oklahoma City bombings. All of those different things will shut down sales for periods of time. And it can be very tough. And at those points in time, we can throw the baby out with the bathwater and just say, I'm done. I'm just circling the wagons. I'm going to fire all these people. I'm going to cut all these expenses. I'm basically going to turn my dreams off about getting to a place where I have passive income, where I'm stepped away and I'm not working as much, but I'm making more money than I am right now. I'm going to stop working and give up on that and just go back, because sales are slow, to doing my own thing with less stress. And that's less stress for now. They got nothing else to do, so they start showing property and handle their own transactions until it gets busy again. Once it gets busy again, then all of a sudden they're stressed out again. They have to start all over from scratch, but they don't want to do that because they've already shut those doors closed. They've put a lid on their development in real estate. Happens all the time. So they basically said, I've already tried that, not going to do it. I don't like it. Employees are a headache. Spending money, Zillow's a headache or whatever. Spending money on marketing's a headache. Flyers don't work. They start establishing different opinions to justify their past reactionary behavior that was impulsive, and it came from a place of scarcity because they went into a knee-jerk place where they were just not motivated. And they made a lot of career decisions and shut so many doors and opportunities out because of that. And that's usually the absence of some sort of leader, manager, mentor, coach that wasn't there. Maybe it's on them for not reaching out to those people. Maybe it's on us for not reaching out to our people and really tapping in to have the finish line conversation so they don't shut all those doors. And when they shut them, man, they shut them, they slam them, because then they feel the need to justify that. So they tell everybody, right? Well, I didn't do it because that doesn't work, or it's not for me. I'm not a people person. So they start telling everybody. And once they do that, they've put it out there, right? And it's really hard to go back on that and open those doors up again. You know, mentally, they've just completely told themselves that. It's called denial, just to make themselves feel better about themselves. So they've dug in, you know, on this new negative scarcity-based mindset with regards to their future in real estate, and they shut all those doors. And we see it all the time, you know. We see people just say, you know, I'm just going to flip a house every now and year. Sales aren't for me. I don't care about that. So I have a new line. I'm a house flipper. I'm an Airbnb-er, you know, whatever that is. And I just shut the doors on all that growth and all that income. So then they just replace the low income there with the low income they get from this, you know, and rather than doing both and getting leveraged and creating passive income and, you know, opening up all these doors, maybe those doors are, you know, getting enough production and enough sales where you can have someone step over and run your organization, run your team, hire a sales manager to recruit for you. Maybe it's open up mortgage companies, title companies. So that you have all these affiliate services. These are all places we take and we coach people, at least at ICC, so that we have lots of different pillars of income, lots of different net income, you know, whether you're getting MSAs from insurance companies and property management companies, or you're joint venturing with them, or you're opening your own, like I said, mortgage title. There's endless different affiliate businesses and services that our clients do. It could be development, could be flipping, could be just in general investing, or any combination of all of those. A lot of our big teams do that. It's not just about sales volume. So you hear people start saying that, well, I don't want a big team. I don't want to sell 2,000 houses. Well, most of the teams that do that, you know, they brag about that and talk about that. You know, I'd really check the net income, because a lot of that's vanity numbers. You know, do they have these affiliate services? Do they have multiple streams of income? If that's what someone got into this for, at some point they get into something like that. I'm just going to use that example. Maybe that's not your goal. Maybe it's not your goal to do those things, but let's say it is, just for the sake of this argument. I guarantee you your goal is somewhere. I want to generate more income and work less, right? Maybe it's a team of 4 people, so you don't have to work all the time. Maybe it's just to make it so you don't have to show property in the spring and summers. You can actually take vacations for your family. I don't know, whatever that is. Usually we have a goal of just getting a little bit more income and working a little bit less. And then typically it's, I'd like to even get a little bit more income, work a little bit more less. And then you end up being a much larger organization than you intended. However, you're working a lot less and making a lot more. So it's a good place to be. So baby steps is fine too. The point of the matter is we have a goal to get from here to here. Whether it's here or here or here right now, it's up to you. Point is, we have a goal to get to here. And wherever that here is, we as a leader need to be very candid about that why and what that finish line looks like. We got to remind them when they start making all these drastic, hey, I want to quit, I'm not going to do this, I don't need the headaches, and all those excuses come up. We have to refocus them on that finish line. Remember, I know it's hard right now, but here's what we're working towards. And when you paint a picture of that finish line, when I say show them the finish line, I mean you got to show them in living color. I'm talking video, not still photo. I'm talking, MP4 file. It's got to be like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you'll feel in that life. When you aren't even going into the office, but maybe once a week, or appearing by a Zoom meeting, and you've got someone else running your mortgage company that's bringing in $30,000 of net income a month, or you've got someone else recruiting for you, managing, that loves it, isn't tired of it, and they're actually doing what they love and passionate about, and they're handling all those deal doctor or agent questions, and they're recruiting, and they're growing, and they're invested in that. You can get some more time with your family. And now imagine going to everyone. Now imagine picking your kids up from school every day and going to every one of their sporting events, or imagine retiring or buying that second home. I want to talk about that second home. I want to talk about how it would make them feel. I want to tap into that pleasure. I want to really know. I want them to almost experience the emotion of what it would be like in that place. I want to talk about the walks on the beach. I want to talk about what it would do for their marriage. I want to talk about what it would do for their kids. I want to talk about all those things and how it would make it feel. I want to talk about what that type of income would do and what that college would be like to get to put their kids in. I want to know what it would be like to live in a safe neighborhood where the kids could walk to school without you there every single day and walk home safely. How that would make you feel, how that would make them feel, what that would do for their future. I really want to paint that finish line so that before they say no to it, before they quit all that, they realize what they're quitting. And that might be, okay, now, is it that? We're talking about an hour or two a day. We're talking about 2 recruiting appointments a week. We're talking about 1 hour of lead generating, of calling your sphere of influence or sending text messages or getting on Facebook and writing content, whatever it may be, that we're trying to get them to do some sort of lead generation activity. We're not asking that much compared to what you're giving up by not doing it. So we got to paint a clear picture and have that conversation. First, we need to tap into the why. And we do that by digging deep in needs analysis and really find out where they want to go. And once we have that, we hang on to it. We never forget it. That's how we get the book on every single agent in our office. We dig it and we got to know what that is. We should know what every agent in our office has. And if you're new hired, if you're starting to run an office, for the first time and there's a bunch of agents there, man, the first thing you do is you meet every single agent in the office and you find out their why. You do a needs analysis conversation with every single one of them. And if you don't know what that is, man, get an ICC coach at least for a year and figure it out. We'll show you how to do that. And then you're going to have the book on everybody because they're all going to go through ups and downs and peaks and valleys as they ride the real estate roller coaster from I'm too busy and I don't have enough, I'm about to quit. I'm too busy, I'm going to quit. I don't have enough business, I'm about to quit. And those highs and lows, when you get up and below the lines, that's when you can really make the magic happen as a leader. That's when you can get them to change. When we got too much business, that's when they're like, hey, I can't do this, man. I'm not seeing my kids. Well, then we need entertain the idea of hiring or leveraging. They get really, really low. That's when, we can actually get them motivated to do some activity that's uncomfortable to grow the business until we can leverage again. And that's how we stair step agents. But to be able to jump in at that moment of weakness, we have to know what their big why is beforehand. We got to get the book on all the agents, and anytime they're down or we can't get them to do what they need to do to succeed for their lives, for their family, for their goals, that's when we as leaders jump in and remind them. And if you want to build loyalty, if you want to increase your retention, if you want to feel good about your job and why you do what you do this. Help people. Do good. And the way you do good is you really get people to where they want to go. You be that one person in their life that has that relationship that impacts people. And I can tell you right now, I've had the pleasure of doing that for many, many decades now. And there are so many people out there that I've done this with. I'm sure some of them are watching this. And they reach out to this day and say, hey, man, thank you. You really got me through it. And I wouldn't be where I am without you today. And I'll tell you, there's a few things on this planet that make me feel better than that. There really are. It's just one of the best things, the best feelings you could have as a leader is having that type of positive turnaround impact to get people where they need to be for their lives, for their goals, for their family by digging in deep, finding out why they want to do it, and then painting consistent images of the finish line when they're really up or they're really down to get them to change, do uncomfortable things enough times until they become comfortable. Then you wait for the next opportunity and you keep pushing in those moments of weakness. So we as leaders, when people are struggling and need motivation, that's our opportunity. When they say they won't do it, a good leader doesn't run around and say, man, I need to find agents to do. These agents just aren't motivated. A good leader owns that, does their part, taps in, paints the picture, and really pushes. Now, they won't all respond, and that's true. In those cases, we can. But until you figured out their why and constantly reminded them of it by painting that picture, and then we know we can have a clear conscience. We've done everything we can. It's them, not me at this point. Okay, so that's the idea. That's how we paint the picture. That's how we show people the finish line and have that finish line conversation. And again, a lot of you guys that are not leading other people, I just had it with you. Okay, so you need to tap into, why am I doing this? Where do I want to go? And short term, I need to do the hard work. Trust me, you won't have to forever. You won't have to forever, so long as you're consistent and persistent about it. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Hope this helps.